Hey everybody. One hell of an update just dropped. I would have gotten to this sooner, but I was away on stuff, and now we're getting to it. Jesus, a lot of little changes, but mostly the big change, which is a ton of new foodstuffs, and now about half of those foodstuffs give you some sort of buff or bonus or whatever, and they all expire now, so you've got like 70 hours to eat each one. And yeah, some of these give good buffs, some of these are kind of pointless, because like some of the buffs just are like less of a chance to bleed or something stupid like that. But a lot of these buffs are actually really good. So this was a big project. I outsourced a lot of this because it's a ton of research, a ton of work. So special props to these guys. Without them, I wouldn't have had anywhere near the amount of food I had, and I'm using the majority of their data because they went through a ton of food. So big thank you, and let's get into it. Because Jesus Christ, they did a lot of work, and I had a lot to compile, and this is the result of that work. So combat foods. We have a lot of weird combat foods right now. When it comes to Apprentice, we've got ceviche and we've got fish stew. This one's ceviche and this one's fish stew. And these two will make you more accurate. Ceviche seems to do it better than fish stew at this point, because ceviche is tier 2 and fish stew is tier 1. They do the same thing, but tier 2 means the one does it better than the other. And so I don't have it applied right now, but if I did, my gun would be a little bit more accurate, and this is pretty good for muskets, especially muskets and like the Tanegashima. These guys really do benefit from the increase in accuracy. After that, we've got coffee. Coffee's pretty damn good. It is master level, which makes it kind of a pain in the ass to craft, but if you can get it, what coffee does is it decreases reload speed tier 3, which means every reload speed you have, coffee will chop 15 seconds off of your reload. So like this guy, this is my Peach Cobbler, this is a reed rifle. These take about 12.25 seconds to reload. With this applied to it, they're, what was it? 10.25 seconds. So it takes just about 2 seconds off of the reload time. In this one, it takes about a second and a half off the reload time. So very handy for making your guns just that bit faster. Now when we get into... Sorry, I did not put this in a good spot. The Tartine. And this one increases stamina regeneration tier 3. This one's damn good for that. And it's all the way on the side here. What the hell? Come on. Come on. Come on. Drag. I don't know. It's not dragging. It's this guy right here. This little guy. And this guy will essentially make your stamina bar fill pretty much instantaneously. It is ridiculously good. It won't give you more swings. So like if you spam it, you'll still get the same number of swings. But it will regen your stamina absurdly quickly. So it's good for any sort of large group fights, it's good for dueling, it's good for really anything you need to regen stamina faster for. So Tartine is phenomenal. Hard to make, but phenomenal in that regard. And then we've got the Croissant. The Croissant is expert level, this guy right here. And what this does is it gives you 80 more inventory space. So if you're looting HBC, if you're in a little PR, in a little raid, you'll get 80 more inventory space if you use the beautiful Croissant. They're pretty damn good for this, and they're actually pretty easy to craft. And then finally, for the combat foods, we have Frontier skewers. Now, Frontier skewers are probably the best of this list. Frontier are the spammer's best friend. So this is my rapier. There are many like it, but this one's mine. And it's not super fast when it comes to, like, swinging, and it's not super fast when it comes to, like, swing cooldown time. But if I were to take a Frontier skewer, it would be as fast as my superior knife in swinging speed and in cooldown time. So if I were to take my Frontier skewer, I could swing it physically faster. This would be a faster swing than it is currently. And also, the swing cooldown would be physically faster, so I could spam it more often. So I could spam it at like the rate of like a superior knife. I could go crazy fast with this weapon. So TLDR, Frontier skewers are phenomenal for any spammy weapons out there. They make you spam really fast and have really really quick cooldown. So, great for spam. That's what that is. And now we've got the weird ones that are for, like, miscellaneous stuff, but also still very helpful. So, first off, we've got the Poutine, whatever the fuck that is. It's a French thing, I believe. And this one will give you increased experience gained from your professions. And this one's tier 1. this gives you tier 1 increased experience gain. We don't know of a tier 2 or tier 3 yet, but this is the tier 1 one. And so yeah, you basically get more XP when you're doing stuff. It kind of sucks that it's... Nope. It kind of sucks that it's a master level to get this item that boosts XP, but it is what it is. So that one's pretty handy. Not for me, but for most people that's pretty handy. Now we've got the Flamie. This guy is also master. It's right next to it, isn't it? Yep. And the Flamie increases your resistance to cold. And so if you're freezing or something, like this would be pretty helpful. The one thing I find this especially useful for is if you're run down by a group and you're a solo player and you're jumping off into the water, swimming away from a faction that's like trying to kill you, and you need to survive in the water long enough so that they can't reach your body. Like, let's say you're bountied or something, this would be absurdly helpful for that, because you can tank the water damage much longer than your pursuers, which means you can survive without getting looted because they'll freeze before they even get to your body, which is great, which is very, very helpful and very, very cancerous to have to cope with. I hate those kind of people, but it is a part of the game, so what can you do? And then we've got, finally, Benjamin's Delight, which is our big master one. And what this does is it gives you a better chance at getting better items from treasure chests, which is so cool. I love that that's a thing in this game, and I feel like that's much more balanced than any of the absurdly overpowered combat ones. The combat ones I hate, because every single one of these effects lasts 5 whole minutes, and so your combat is buffed for 5 minutes. But at least the treasure chest one, that I understand. That feels better to me. And so yeah, this essentially gives you better odds when it comes to treasure chest stuff. When you turn one in, you take one before you turn your treasure chest, and that gives you better odds. I don't know if it works on fort chests. I don't even think those function right now, but when they come back into existence, I don't know if it'll work on those. It might, and I have no idea if it works on the currently functioning safe in the AI fort all the way in that direction. I don't know if it works there. It might not. But we do know they work on treasure chests. The next kind of weird ones we're going to talk about are even less useful, but kind of cool in niche little scenarios. And the first of these is raspberry tea. And this one cures quote-unquote indigestion. You get quote-unquote indigestion when you eat a spoiled food. So after one of these is spoiled, you have to cure it with a tea. And that is... fuck, where'd it go? That is right here. You cure it with a tea. And this one, this blueberry tea, cures you when you get a cold. You get a cold, you guessed it, from getting cold. So if I'm in a blizzard, if I'm in the water and I get a cold, I drink blueberry tea. That's what those two do. And then, cute little mention, beef jerky is in the game. Where is it? We've got our jerky here. And the idea with this one is it lasts longer than all of the other foods to spoil, which is kind of a cool little gimmick. It also gives you a tiny little, like, 5% reload buff, but that doesn't really matter. It's supposed to last longer than the other ones, whereas the other ones spoil in, like, 70 hours. Beef jerky spoils in, like, 170 hours. The problem is, obviously, that if you just cook a food, like so... if I just cooked this meat here, it would never spoil, and I can still eat it. So if this was cooked, I could eat it. So it's basically jerky, but unlootable and infinite. So right now jerky's pointless, but if food did spoil, and there wasn't food that just didn't spoil, if there wasn't unlimited food, I think jerky would be pretty cool. So honorable mention, if the system's ever fixed, jerky is where you'd go for that. And then the last two weird ones we're going to cover is Super Lignon and Custard Pie. And these two give a tier 1 boost to reputation. Now that's not in the game yet. I don't even know what the fuck that is. Maybe that'll come in the future. Right now, that's not a thing. And so in the future, when that's a thing, maybe these will be useful. But right now, it's the same as the... what's it fucking called? The Poutine, which is this fucker. And so these two just give you profession buffs right now. In the future, they might do something cooler. But yeah, that is the big foods that we have found from the food stuff update. The rest of it is either pointless, untested, or pointless. A whole bunch of these foods just give no buff at all. And the ones I skipped are flat out worse than the ones I described, or they give something stupid like 50-50 chance to bleed damage, or something like that, which is just completely pointless. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed There's going to be a couple foods we missed just because some of these are actually cancerous to grind and we haven't gotten to them in time. So there's a chance something's wrong here. But regardless, I hope you all enjoyed. This was a pain. And yeah, glad we got it done. Thank you all for watching.